right. This is an interesting one. We're at our dining room table here with Butter. We just had 2 Dungeness crabs for dinner. And we've been throwing around the idea of just like documenting our journey the last 5 months so far after having given birth to Atlas. And well, we thought like one, it's good for ourselves to document and be really special to like look back at. But also if we choose to ever publish this, that maybe our friends could listen to our journey and hear about some of the challenges and tribulations that we've gone through as well.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add to that?
No, it's perfect.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess just to set the stage here, we've had 11 friends that we counted, close friends, that have given birth to children the last 2 years. And a lot more than that if we count like our acquaintances and stuff like that. And it's been, I mean, we've heard all types of stories, right? Things that have challenged their marriages.
Right.
All the way to things that like felt like made them stronger, right? As they've gone through it, and it's constantly ups and downs.
Yeah.
For people that might be listening, if let's just say they haven't had kids yet, like what makes parenthood so challenging and so tough?
I have to preface this by saying that before, when we didn't have kids yet, no matter what people told us, we would hear it, but we don't understand until we became parents. So for those who haven't had kids yet, I think they won't truly understand. But what makes it so challenging is the constant need from our baby. It's something that I think if we were to have really hard projects in our lives, at one point those projects end, a work day would end, like a very hard task would end at some point. But having a baby is constant, and it's like you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel because obviously we're so early on, and also you just have to be constantly on, and I think that's the hardest part.
Yeah, so when you're saying like constant, I mean, just to add some color to it, it's like especially in the beginning, right? The first like 8 to 12 weeks, it was the baby would wake up crying, eating food, and then you do a diaper change, you burp them, and maybe you play with them just a little bit, and they have maybe like an hour and a half wake window, and then you have to put them down for a nap again, or else if they get too tired, and you have to like monitor that constantly, like checking. I remember constantly checking the schedule, making sure like he's not awake for too long, and then you put him down and they don't fall asleep right away either, right? Especially like we missed the window by even just like 5 to 10 minutes, the baby would just cry themselves to sleep no matter how much you soothe them. And then they nap for how long? You think like in the beginning, like 30 minutes, an hour, and then the cycle repeats.
Right, exactly. It feels like a constant ticking clock, and then we're constantly trying to catch up, and then you're always behind. And then with the accumulation of lack of sleep, all of this kind of intensifies. So yeah, I think that's what's really hard.
Yeah, so it's that like 2.5 hour, maybe even 2 hour cycle, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yep.
And yeah, I think like a few days is manageable. A week is extremely challenging. 2-3 weeks, it was like, especially going through like a very challenging labor.
Yeah.
And then, Atlas was in the NICU, and then coming home and then having that like constant
and
cycle.
I think it's very different from the mother and the father. Like for a father, you can technically walk away and take a short break if you need to, but for the mother, you're going through so much bodily changes the first months, like I'm sure like the first year actually, that you can't step away. Like, even if I have a moment to sit down and quote unquote rest, my boobs are constantly engorged. I'm having pain from just cramps of the uterus kind of shrinking back, right? So like there is no break.
Yeah.
So I think that's the challenge too.
Yeah, and it's like also like leading up to that point, the 9 months of pregnancy too, right?
Right.
That was also, I mean, now that Atlas is 5 months, I feel like you've forgotten a little bit of it.
Right.
But I remember vividly, like you can't even open the fridge because of the, food aversion. And like, yeah, it was just very challenging for you. And I feel like that gave me so much more appreciation for like how much you do, not just like, obviously you do a lot, like even before Atlas, like the day to day, the mental load, taking care of the bills, all that stuff. But then like adding the bodily changes on top, like literally
Right.
throwing a baby. I mean, just I don't want to dwell too much on this, but when you did your first ferritin test, your iron levels were off the charts, right? Like we eat fairly healthy, decent amount of protein and red meats, etc.
Right.
And so we'd ask was it the NP or the midwife? And she was like, oh yeah, like totally good. Your ferritin levels are good. I don't know why you're so tired. Maybe, it's just normal. And then lo and behold, like 3 months later, you check your ferritin levels and it's like plummeted so low that the doctor recommended like supplements aren't even going to help. You need to go get an infusion at the infusion center.
Yeah. So like that just goes to show that like your body is completely drained to support the growth of a baby. And yeah, no, it's very empowering, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe describe a little bit of like how you felt waking up every morning too, the second trimester when your
I woke up feeling like a bus hit me every day. Yeah. And I think what was hard for me was like I knew that, pregnancy fatigue was a thing, but I never thought the fatigue would make you want to cry. Like I'll be like, oh, if I'm tired, I'll just lay here and I'll be fine, right? But it was like a pain. It was painful. It was painful fatigue that made me feel like I can't even function. So that was very eye-opening, and I think maybe like a large part of it was the iron and also just my body kind of pulling all the nutrients to support a fetus. So it's quite magical.
And like the challenges were like I would say 10 times more challenging than we realized. But I would also say like the good, like the magical moments with the baby are also hard to understand and hard to describe, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like it's also 10 times more rewarding.
Oh yeah.
Than I ever anticipated. And I had high expectations to start out with.
Yeah, no, and I think that love for him grows too. I think like, when I was pregnant, I knew he was inside me and it was like, oh, I love you. I want to protect you. And then when he was born, it was like, oh my God, this little thing is so vulnerable. I just want to like do everything to protect you. And then like too, when he first smiles or when he first laughs, you just want to give him like the world. And like I'm shocked at how much that love starting at such a high point can continue to grow by the day.
Yeah. Our hearts are very, very full, to say the least, on a day-to-day basis. Like we talked about how challenging it's been. We kind of touched on how awesome it's been. Like I feel like at least relatively speaking, at 5 months, like we've accomplished a lot. We've done a lot.
Yeah.
And it's been overall like a really empowering, rewarding journey. Maybe like talk about some of the things that you feel like you're proud of accomplishing yourself. Share that.
Yeah, no, I'm extremely, extremely proud. I think the number one thing is breastfeeding. I joke that I always thought my boobs were more decorative than, functional. And seeing them sustain a human from when he was born a preemie, 1 percentile to now 4 percentile in weight and 17 percentile in height at 5 months, and all literally like exclusively came from my breast milk is very, very magical moment. Yeah, I just feel like it's the best feeling ever. I think like, if I can draw my past experiences, any accomplishments I would have done, whether it's school related, residency related, nothing compares to creating life. And I'm so shocked still when I look at him and I'm like, I made this baby and I'm sustaining him daily. I think I'm so proud of that.
Yeah. I mean, you've done I've seen you, we've been together for 13 years now. And I've seen you go through really hard things, like run on very little sleep, wake up, 5, 6 a.m., go to the gym, do residency, get, be constantly judged by your preceptors, go through graduate school, fairly challenging undergrad, right? Like you've done a lot of hard things. And this, I would say, from my observation, has been like one of the hardest things you've ever done and accomplished. And I think something that I'm really proud of that we were able to accomplish, and I think it was mostly driven by you, is our travels, right? Like friends have reached out. So we went to Japan for 3 weeks and then Hawaii for a month.
More than 3 weeks. I think we were in Japan for a month.
Yeah, for a month, and then Hawaii for
another
a month.
Mm-hmm.
Like friends are reaching out and going, wow, like I can't even imagine like leaving the house at when the baby's 3 months. And we just had dinner with him here with us, and we went to a hot spring before he was 3 months with friends. We go out every single day. Like, I feel like we are thriving.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
What do you think are some of the things that it could have gone like the opposite direction?
Oh yeah,
too,
absolutely.
right? And to a certain extent, like Atlas is a great baby, right?
Yeah,
Like right out of the womb,
absolutely.
he latched onto the boob. He had a preference to be put down on
Where he doesn't like to be held.
yeah, yeah. So that like gave us just a little bit more space. But what are some of the things that you think has led to
Our
just
success.
our ability to like just do more and have a more fulfilling
Yeah,
parenthood?
I think it really takes both of us to be on our A game, and I like have to really thank you for encouraging us to go out. Like I remember we would basically the next day go on walks, after he was born, after we got home, and then how hard it is to really leave the room, leave the house, but you're like, let's just go on a walk. Like that really gave me confidence to be out. And I remember even things like putting him in the car seat or setting up the stroller was extremely hard that first week. But you did it all. You did it all. And I'm like really happy that you did that. Because I think if I was doing it alone, I wouldn't have. I would have just, stayed home like everyone else. So in the beginning, I really think you gave me the confidence, and it really takes two people. And I think for the long term or the further traveling, the international trips, I just thought that we had to do it. Like I know that we had this really precious time with him, and we're going to be sleep deprived no matter what. He's going to be on his own schedule. He's going to go through regression, and why not enjoy in Hawaii while we're sleep deprived and really raise our baby there? Why not do it in Japan, our favorite place? So I think most importantly, it's really the perspective. I think for a lot of parents, they're so kind of strict about putting the baby in a schedule, kind of almost keeping them in a bubble and following it so closely that they're not really allowing anything to deviate from it. And I think our mindsets were different. We thought that this would be a perfect time for us to bring him. And we didn't go by any schedule in Japan or Hawaii. We just did, we fed on demand. We didn't have any sleep schedule. When he's tired, we would stroll him to sleep. We'd be napping in the car. That's right, napping in the stroller, on the train, in malls, feeding everywhere, changing everywhere. And I think that flexibility mindset that we had really helped with all these adventures we've been on.
Yeah, I mean, definitely want to give credit where credit's due. Like, I was okay with going to Hawaii because I knew we would just be camping out on a beach, changing diapers on a beach, and that was going to be cool and all. But I had a lot of hesitation, if you remember. Like, you were booking our flights, guesstimating his due date, his birth date, to buy tickets for him before he was born to Japan. And I just thought, oh my gosh, how are we going to do that? Like, what type of baby is he going to be? Are we going to be able to pull that off? Especially Japan.
Yeah.
Because, well, first, it's further. Second is like, it's a lot more crowded. We don't know the culture with babies there. There's just all these, I mean, now I would call it limiting beliefs, right? That I had.
For sure.
And I think parenthood, to a certain extent, like helped me personally grow so much because it helped me see my limiting beliefs.
Totally.
And and you forced me to overcome them, right? By like pre-booking that flight, I was like, oh, it's locked in.
Yeah, I think like when I was telling people about it, there were generally like two schools of people. One that said, don't go, like that's the worst idea ever. You don't want to travel. And then another set of parents would tell me, go, that's the best time. 3 months is when they are sleeping most of the time. I look back and I wish I went at 3 months. And I honestly listened to what I wanted to hear because regardless, I wanted to be in Japan. And I figured if it's going to be so hard anyways, that's not going to change, right? So I'm not trying to change the hardness of it. I'm just trying to change the location and be where I love and enjoy the most. So I'm really glad we did it. And of course, I think for me, the biggest concern is if he were to encounter any health issues in Japan, like how would the insurance work? So that's what I was most worried about. But, I called those companies. They know what to do if something were to happen. So I felt better, and like knock on wood and thank God nothing bad happened. So, but that was my top concern, I would say.
Yeah, it reminds me of the TED talk that Tim Ferriss gave on like fear setting, right? It's like, okay, list out all your fears, and then list out all the things that you can do to address those fears, which is what you did. And then everything else is upside, right? If you address those, they're reversible things.
Yeah.
Actually. And I think the other thing too is because the tickets were pre-booked, it forced us, like starting the next day we were home, like you said, to like, okay, like if we're going to be traveling in 2.5, 3 months, we're going to be out all day. Like, okay, let's get used to doing that.
Yeah.
And we had doctor's appointments and things like that. But like, we're like, okay, let's go to Japantown, right? And I remember he was like maybe a week old, maybe 5 days old, 6 days old, right out of the hospital.
Right.
And I had him in a carrier in front of me, and I was buying a gift for our doula. And people were like, oh my gosh, like that's a really small baby. How old is he? Yeah, like 5, 6 days old. And people go, wow. Yeah. And then we learned to like change diapers in the car, or I learned to change diapers in the car, to get the strollers going. In the beginning, it was extremely challenging, right?
Yeah.
To like figure all that stuff out. It's a lot of gear that you got to figure out.
Right.
But then over time it got easier and easier. But I think like just having that pre-booked like forced us to do different things.
Yeah. And I think I like didn't focus on the negatives of like, you know, all the challenges of going to Japan, because it wasn't like a questionable thing. I'm going to Japan. It's like it was already on my mind. So it was more like, okay, which bassinet can we get to fit the Japanese stroller? What items do we need to bring to Japan? Like that was kind of the direction I was headed. I was never thinking like, oh, to go or not to go. That was not really a question for me.
Yeah. That's amazing. I'm glad I married you. So let's talk about what worked for us the first 2 to 3 months. Like, I guess, what advice would you give to expecting parents?
I honestly think the best advice that I must have heard somewhere, but I can't recall where, but it's to trust your baby. I think for us, a lot of times we kind of act out of fear, right? So like if baby was crying, we immediately want to run to the baby, make sure they're okay. But we really just should wait and like observe and see. Like they may cry for a little bit, but they will fall back asleep. But if you were to intervene, then you're kind of messing up with their sleep cycle. So I think trusting your baby, trust that they will fall back asleep. They are biologically programmed to behave a certain way and survive, and not intervene too much with what's supposed to happen. And of course, also like it was really, really helpful that we had friends that taught us a lot of tips, like things that we didn't know before, but we know going into it actually. For example, like, oh, babies are very loud sleepers. So they make a lot of noises in their sleep. Don't be alarmed. And versus for me and you, like if we heard someone, be that loud, we would be like, are you awake? What's going on? But because we knew that, we kind of gave them time to really, settle in, settle down. What are the advice? I think also being very open-minded and flexible. Like I think it's hard for the baby to go according to plan of what we want them to do, when we want them to nap, when we want them to eat, how much they're going to eat.
Yeah.
But know that they're just going to be okay. So like, don't kill yourself doing it. Just enjoy the ride and enjoy the hardness. Oh, I guess that also brings me to a point. I think one thing that someone said to us towards the end of my pregnancy was embrace the hardness. And I really want to thank them, because every time it felt so hard, I just remind myself like embrace it, because it's going to be so short-lived. Like they're only going to be so small for this long that I really don't mind it, because I know they're not going to need me to burp them after 6+ months. They're not going to want us to hold them all day long after a year. Like it's so short-lived that we could do it.
Yeah. Talk a little bit more about like your routine with breastfeeding and pumping that worked well. And I mean, actually on that note, like just shout out to the village around us, all the people that helped us, like Aaron and me here that gave us so much of their baby stuff.
Yeah, I think like that was so helpful, because friends would give us stuff that we didn't think we need. Like I wouldn't know that there are things created to hold my letdown. I didn't know that there are things that you put inside a bra to soak up letdown. Like things like that. I didn't even know they existed. We didn't know that there is like a thermos that's specifically for storing milk, but our friend would just like shower us with all these gifts and hand-me-downs that, and then it shows me that, oh, this is what it's for. Oh, I thought about it when I needed it, and it's been like the most helpful thing ever. Another shout out is definitely to Buy Nothing. Like, Buy Nothing is the best resource to get baby stuff. We basically got a lot of our baby gears there. Clothing from family, from friends. We have not purchased a single piece of clothing for him, and that's huge, right? Like, they grow out of it so fast that it's so great that we're reusing it and then passing it back around to our circle. And even in pregnancy, right, maternity clothes that our friends, gifted us. And I'm just so glad that we're kind of like passing it on to circulate in our community too. Yeah.
What are like some books or like podcasts or things that YouTube videos that you think was most helpful?
I watched a lot of videos, as you know. A lot of it's just like random videos I come across on YouTube. I wasn't really following like a person or two, but it was just like random people that I follow just happened to be pregnant, and I like watch a lot of like baby must have, baby tips, the birth process. In terms of books, I do think that there are a few that are just really good to set the bases. One of them is Expecting Better by Emily.
Oster.
And then we really liked, both you and I really liked the book Bring a Bébé, the French baby parenting book. That's what really taught us the pause and to wait before you cater to your baby, which is huge because it's not intuitive. I think that's the thing. Raising a baby is not intuitive. A lot of things that we thought would be intuitive would not be. Like, you're supposed to just let your baby cry for a little bit before tending to them. I think that was huge to learn from the book.
Yeah, so the idea is like we don't want to condition the baby to like expect us to pick them up or
the moment they
cry, right? We want to pause a little bit, especially when, like, for a while, the first like 2-3 months, Atlas was screaming in his sleep.
Yep. I mean,
yeah, and if I didn't, read the book or I didn't know better, I would have probably just picked him up thinking he was actually crying. And
I would recommend watching as many YouTube videos, YouTube shorts, and like a lot of helpful books out there, because I think everyone is going to have their own experience, but those books really help me set the foundation.
Yeah, it gives you the knowledge to make your own decisions. You don't necessarily need to follow them.
Right.
The courses, the birth courses.
Oh yeah, those were so helpful. We like signed up for so many virtual and in-person courses, and I think so in-person courses we benefited a lot from. And I think one thing was, I always thought giving birth was you just lay on your back and you push the baby out. I did not know that you are supposed to get into many, many different positions prior to that stage to get the baby in the right position. And we learned that through an in-person course and was able to have like hands-on practice. And I think that's when you really, really like honestly learned to be a doula for me, a birth doula, and taught me and walked me through all of those during our labor.
Yeah. Because honestly, like when you're in labor, I mean, anyone is in labor, you're too preoccupied by the pain that you're going through and everything else that's going on. The doctor's talking to you.
I'm not going to be like, let's do a squat. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So you need someone to like set the rhythm. And I think like that is actually really important.
And I think me getting into those positions right before, our delivery helped me, help the baby get into such a great position that I was able to get him out in 4 minutes, right? Push it out in 4 minutes.
Yeah.
So that was huge, I think.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple scary things that happened during delivery, right? Like his heart rate dropped for 4 minutes twice.
Yeah.
Extremely scary. And we were a few minutes away from an emergency C-section.
I had a fever. There was suspected infection. They couldn't get his heart rate. There were just so many intervention, and I think a lot of it was because I was induced early. Yeah,
and I think the Birth Partner was a really great book.
For you, I didn't read that one, but you loved it.
Yeah, that's our friend Kevin gave me when we visited their place to pick up some maternity clothing. He's like, "This is what you need."
Yep,
and that was one of the greatest gifts, actually. Okay, so. Also, you did a lot of workout classes too, right? During your pregnancy.
Yeah. So there were workout classes that are supposed to be, more pregnancy friendly. So like Pilates, bar, yoga with no heat. And they were great. Like I think bar especially is a really, really good workout. It really gets you like a low impact, but good workout for the mom. And they have a lot of modifications too for pregnant. We did some prenatal classes together,
Yep.
prenatal yoga classes. Those were fun.
Mm-hmm.
Pilates obviously was really, really good. Yeah, like I think those workout classes, I think like staying active is huge, right? Whether you're pregnant or not, but I'm sure that helped a lot.
Yeah, I genuinely think that like built up your strength and ability to like push a baby out in 4 minutes. Like for a first baby, that was
I
insane.
mean, yes, it was also assisted by vacuum, but yeah, I guess I don't know what to compare it to, but it was crazy.
Yeah, yeah. You are a stud, my love. Yeah, I'm like reliving that. That was so crazy.
Yeah. I think it was crazier for you to watch. For me, going through it, I was just so sleep deprived. I don't even know what was going on.
Yeah. So okay, so definitely like the sleep deprivation still is the hardest right now.
For sure.
And it was like months and months of like, not a good night of sleep for you. What are some of the things even now, right? What are some of the things that help?
Ooh, I think what helped a lot was, so, I guess like to give some context, I cannot sleep because I have to pump throughout the night as well as feed, right? So if I'm not feeding, I'm pumping. So regardless, I have never had more than 4 hours of sleep in the first maybe 4 months of him being born. And that was really, really hard. And waking up several times, I think, is hard because, even if the first time you can fall right back to sleep, there's no way that you can fall right back to sleep the second and third time throughout the night.
Yep.
So what really helped was when we had our night doula, when, she would come, I don't have to look at my phone to start the timer for the breastfeeding or pumping. Then it really helps me just stay kind of relatively, not asleep obviously, but relatively not woken. So that helped a lot. And then sometimes just like telling myself to not think about what I'm worried about the moment and just really try hard to go back to sleep because that's so precious and that really affects the next day if I can enjoy him or not, right? But really keeping the room dark, the red light machine, those were all really great interventions. And then not having to, I think, when we did have a helper, whether that was you or the doula, you bring the milk out after I pump it, so I don't have to walk all the way to the kitchen. Because if I do, then it's game over. I won't be able to fall back asleep. So those really minor interventions really help.
Yeah. And I mean, I think a few things that we figured out the first week or so is like, okay, what's the point of both of us being awake? Right. So let's just move the baby out of our room and one of us, spends time with the baby to do, the stuff that wakes you up while the other person can sleep as much as possible, not fully. Right?
Yeah.
So really, really focusing on sleep and like really dividing and conquering. Because we only had a doula 3 nights a week in the very beginning, right?
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's another example of how parents really shouldn't be so hard on themselves because for one, I was hesitant to move him out of our room because there were studies to show that the closer in proximity the baby is to you, it affects your milk supply. But after talking to her doula about it, they're like, you live in a San Francisco home where your living room is literally just a few, steps away. You don't live in a mansion where he's in a completely different room. So don't worry too much about that. And that really gave me a lot of just peace of mind that, oh, okay, like, why am I here trying to keep him right next to me where none of us can sleep because he's so loud versus let's get some sleep and have him just in the living room that is, 10, 20 feet away.
Yeah. Like he's so loud in his sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he had some like gas issues in the beginning, would make very loud noises while he was sleeping.
And I think it's just normal for babies to be very loud sleepers.
Yeah. And every time he moved, we would both like get up and look and make sure he's okay. It was so tough. The doula helped at nights, helped do the diaper changes, the moving the milk, bottling up the milk, taking care of him. Also, something that we did was you would just instead of you feeding in the night after a few days, you would just pump so that you could just pump for 15 minutes and then go back to sleep, and the doula would bottle feed your pumped milk instead.
Yeah, that was super helpful because, in the beginning, if I were to breastfeed, it'll be for sure more than 30 minutes, right? Because it's 15 minutes each side and then there's burping in between and all that. But thanks to you suggesting that I should just pump, which would only take 15 minutes total, pump and go back to sleep, and then have someone else feed that milk later on is the perfect plan. I think for especially for the mother, where we never get enough sleep anyways, and it's just not possible for us to, right? Because it's not really the baby waking us up all the time. It's my boobs being so engorged, and that pain will wake me up, and I didn't really know that. So yeah, that's definitely like new territory that we had to conquer.
Yeah, it's so counterintuitive. It's not even just the baby wake. I mean, the baby wakes us up enough. Right. And then for you, it's also your boobs.
Yep.
That pain. And like my older sister, Karen, she described the pain from engorgement like as more painful than birth.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of people do. A lot of people tell us that breastfeeding was a harder journey for them than anything. And luckily, it was so hard, but for us, it was relatively smooth. I think I didn't have that really, really painful latch that some people experienced. I never, had the bleeding nipples that people do have. So thank God. I mean, but then without all that, I still felt like it was really hard. So I can only imagine and praise the woman who went through all of that despite the challenges.
Yeah, we had a friend that said they just lost feelings on their nipple.
Yeah, basically fed until the nerves died, and then they were fine afterwards, which is so crazy to hear.
Yeah, oversupply. Breastfeeding. It's very counterintuitive, right? Because you think, okay, I want more milk for my baby, more milk. Let's keep pumping. Let's keep feeding.
Oversupply is a huge issue. And it's, with breastfeeding, I feel like every situation kind of sucks a little bit. Oversupply sucks because you're constantly engorged and you constantly have to pump it out. And then that is a cycle that it's a positive cycle that leads to more oversupply, and your milk is constantly leaking out. That's not fun. Undersupply obviously sucks for you don't have enough milk for your baby, right? And then it's hard to be just enough. Yeah, and I was the undersupplier, I would say. And so we supplemented with formula, which was so great because I don't have to worry about my baby not being full, but still have the sanity to feed him.
Yeah. Talk about that actually, because it was not an easy decision for you at the time. I mean, I think right now in hindsight, we talk about it, it's like, yeah, we did this and we decided to do that. But every one of those decisions was a struggle because we felt like, I mean, with the hormones of being a mother and all that, it's easy to say, hey, just, relax and not worry too much about the baby. But the hormones are raging, right? And every little cry gets your boob to start leaking milk. It's crazy. So talk about that journey of you were trying to pump between every single 2-hour feed to have breast milk for him to feed at night so that you could sleep a couple hours more.
Yeah. I was constantly chasing my milk supply because I did not have a lot of milk. So I would have to pump after each feeding session to kind of stimulate the boobs. And that was really, really hard, right? I'm already not getting enough sleep, and then having to pump in between a feeding is really hard. And
just to elaborate. So 40-minute feeding, because 15 minutes each side plus the burping. And then immediately afterwards, you would be stuck in a chair with the machine pumping.
And I cannot do it. I cannot wait, because if I wait, then I won't have enough milk in my boob to build up for the next feed. So I'll have to pump immediately after.
Yeah. And then the diaper change, right? Yeah. And then, 15 minutes of time. And then we need to start putting him back down to sleep, or else he gets, wild. So it's just that constant cycle is so much on you, but you didn't want to let that go for the first 40 days.
Yeah. So people tell you that it takes 3 months to regulate your milk supply. So I did not want to introduce formula too soon because I was afraid that would, it's a supply and demand issue. So I was afraid that would lower my supply. And then that was another helpful thing that you brought up, that you suggest we do. And we talked to the doula about it. And she said, hey, if you're only substituting one feed with a pump, you're not going to feed once and just pump instead, or skip that, it's not going to affect your milk supply if it's just one feed and you're feeding throughout the day during daytime. So that gave me so much reassurance, and it was so worth it because I was able to sleep a little bit more, and then that affects your milk supply too, right? Like lack of sleep. So yeah, no, that was a tough decision, but I'm so glad we did it because after we introduced formula, I felt like I never had to feel so guilty about sleeping a little longer or just worried that the next day I'm constantly stuck here pumping. Like I would have to chase it the entire day.
Yeah.
And then have to like kind of change my diet, play around with different things and see, oh, is this affecting my milk supply or not? And when your entire day is about chasing your milk supply, that's just not fun.
Yeah. You were literally just pumping all day in between feeding, pumping, feeding, pumping. So crazy.
Yeah.
The doula, she helped, she had these conversations with you. It, you know, put you at ease with the, you know, we talked about 2 different scenarios now. The first is like, hey, like, she said, let me feed your milk through a bottle so that you can, just pump and go back to sleep. That was huge. Second one is, hey, just introduce one formula so you don't have to pump throughout the day and I can, feed that at night. What other conversations do you recall with the doula that was super helpful for you?
I guess like another great thing about our doula is I really love that she checks in on me mentally. And I think, when we hired her, we never thought that we would get mental assessment from her, but it was extremely helpful. Like, especially when as a mother, it feels isolating, even though all my friends, have been mothers at one point, or not all my friends, but a lot of my friends, they're all there to chat. It's different to have somebody that constantly sees your progress, and you're able to like chat with them about what's on your mind that instant, because there are just so many things on my mind, right, in the first few months. She was so sweet about doing those mental check-in, making sure that I'm okay, and then telling me either from like logically like why I shouldn't worry about certain thing, or she would draw from other mothers' experience. That was just so huge, and to have that support, and makes the journey not feel so isolating.
Yeah, they can pull from literally dozens of mothers' experiences and journeys and tell you this is, even like I heard her say this a lot, like that's normal, like that. Like I saw just your shoulders, relax a little bit when she said that's normal.
I loved her. She was so great.
Yeah. All right, so that's the first 2 to 3 months, and then we're like, okay, let's do a dry run of the trip. Let's, we had been preparing like every day we were going out, every weekend we we did excursions, we would go on a walk every single day, go out,
right,
just like, again, just trying to replicate what it would be like to travel, because we already had that booked.
Right.
And then I started feeling, slowly but surely started feeling better and more confident that we could do this travel thing with our baby, right?
It's funny because like I don't think it was on my mind at all. Like we were saying every day we went out to practice, I was just living life every day. Like I didn't really give it as practice, but yes, it did give us confidence.
Yeah. Well, yeah, for me, it was constantly on my mind, I would say.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I was thinking, okay, I need to be able to change the diaper here on this bench, because who knows what environment I'd be changing a diaper in Japan, and lo and behold, I was changing diapers on top of toilets, right?
Yeah, slanted toilets.
Very slanted toilets.
Yeah.
And that gave us the freedom to travel and do what we wanted, and not limits. And I feel like in Japan we got to do whatever we wanted, just at a slower pace.
Yeah, and I think that was another thing too. My expectation, I know you said you don't believe me, but it was really low. Like I think I was totally happy if I had to eat 7-Eleven food, as dinner, because we couldn't find a place that would take us. Like that was really my expectation, and we never even stepped into 7-Eleven until like towards the end, and I was just buying like ice cream or something. Like it was the best. Like, but that was my expectation, and I knew that I'm willing to be in Japan and eat out of 7-Eleven, because I'd be happier doing that than at home being so like tensed up about his schedule and being kind of quote unquote stuck here for all of that. So I'm really, really glad we did the trip. It gave us, I think that is the biggest win of the trip, is that for those 2 months, he grew, he developed, he achieved all these milestones without us being here, keeping him on a schedule and constantly like stressing out about what could go wrong, what didn't go as planned, and things like that.
Yeah, that was extraordinarily freeing. Just seeing him thrive through all of
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And I think I was telling you this on a side conversation, but I think like we're very social animals. And being in Japan, being constantly surrounded by other people and people who took a lot of interest in him too,
Yeah.
was like the most humane experience ever. It felt like we're kind of all part of his growth versus if we're just at home, I would just be at home doing it and it would feel so isolating. And I think we're meant to be raised by a village.
Yeah, yeah, like the Japanese grandmas. I would feed them at a matcha shop or something, and Japanese grandmas would always talk us up. And
All the time, they would always talk to us. They would offer you wipes. Yeah, and people would just always chat us up. And it was the best. Like even on our plane ride there, flight attendant would come and play with him while we like just chilled.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I wanted to come back to our dry run. Like we're packing all the milk supplies, pumping supplies, bottles, just for one night, right? As practice. To go to the hot springs, we went with a friend that also had a newborn.
Yeah.
And then with my mom as well. Like, talk a little bit about that experience, the epiphany that you had. Like, yeah, share a little bit about that. So I feel like that was like a victory lap moment for us.
It was totally. I think that was such a special trip because it was with another newborn family and it was raining all weekend. And because of the rain, we had the entire pool to ourselves.
Yeah.
And so that morning where you, me, and Shirley went to the hot spring first and it was sprinkling and we were all pouring and we were in the swimming pool just literally floating while your mom and Jamie, the dad, watched the babies. I was just at one point looking at Shirley and was like, can you believe we established like so much in the last couple of months and now we're here already floating in a swimming pool and just really soaking it all in. I was just so proud of us. Like from a woman to a woman, I was just like, this is what is harder than this and I can't believe we did it. And like we saw how much each of us had to, like we were breastfeeding, like we're taking turns breastfeeding, we were in a lounge together, like hanging out with our babies, and we saw each other struggle and we saw each other thrive, and I think that was just so magical.
Yeah, that was a really, really special and liberating moment for me as well. And again, it just like gave me confidence. Yeah, this upcoming trip is going to be freaking amazing.
Yeah.
So let's fast forward to the trip, Japan and Hawaii. We touched on it a few times, what we did there. Like, what were some of your highlights?
Oh my gosh, the entire trip was a highlight. I felt like every day, the way you put it, it's like we woke up and we just picked a direction. Let's just go this direction today. And we just walked the neighborhood. We basically didn't really take the trains for over a week in Japan. And if we needed to go somewhere, we would take the Uber taxis because they were so affordable and so accessible. So, and I just love like knowing that we have no itinerary and we just go out, explore. If we're hungry, we just time it such that we could feed. And the facilities were amazing. I think the highlights, like we knew this, but we didn't know until we experienced it, right? Like the changing stations, the hot water machine at every station for formula making, the nursing rooms, priority elevators for strollers. And then also just how great, it's like it's our favorite place on earth, and being there with Atlas was so special.
Yeah. And yeah, we had many epic meals as well. Talk about how we did it.
Well, most places I think would allow us with the baby. It's more that I was concerned that I would have to breastfeed somewhere and that it would be a little awkward depending on the culture. Like, of course, even with the cover, I think it's not really their normal culture for moms to be breastfeeding in public. I think they're more expected to do it in the nursing room, which is not really feasible if your baby is feeding like every 2 hours, right? Yeah. So I think I was a little bit concerned about that, but I think we did a good job timing it so then we would always be somewhere like kind of like discreet when I breastfed. I think their products were amazing, right? We were able to get instant formula in like juice boxes in tins and just feed him, and I felt like it was really nice that they had those and we didn't really have to worry about the quality. And yeah, it was just really great.
Hawaii.
Mhm.
What were some of your highlights there?
Ooh, Hawaii. Every day was also a blessing. I felt like, you know, how much we love Hawaii and how much we love the water. We went to the water every single day.
Yeah.
There was not a day we didn't. We went every day. And I think that was so nice. And how walkable Waikiki is. Like, we would have dinner and then go stroll Waikiki and we can walk home because that's where we lived. That was really, really perfect. Meeting up with so many friends in Hawaii was amazing. And then also meeting locals through our friends or even on the beach and then becoming friends with them. Those were definitely highlights.
Yeah, that was very special. I mean, we've spent a lot of time in Hawaii and, we have our favorite spots and everything, but like this time was so
Yeah.
different in the sense that like every weekend we were hanging out with different groups of people, different friends that we made there or friends that live there. And again, it just like made me feel like we were all raising Atlas together as a village.
I feel like everyone got to see him at a different stage of his life and he grows literally by the day. So it was so precious depending like when you saw him and and being able to and then like talking to mothers that we met in Hawaii, I felt like I could really just relate like how much love, Joy was telling us she has for her son. And I like felt like I could just feel her emotions. Yeah.
Yeah. I think this experience, especially for you, but definitely for me as well, feels like it's connected me much more to the rest of humanity. Like it's both the 10 times the hardness and 10 times the, amazing, moments that we've had with Atlas and the community and the village around us, like has allowed me to fully experience what being a human is like.
And it almost feels like anyone that has been a parent really, really would reach out to us and they like really understand what it's like to struggle, to, achieve milestones. And talking to them really felt like, yeah, like we're in this together. And like you said, I think it felt like this is the purpose of life. Like what else are we doing except raising and expanding humankind?
Yeah. Yeah, that's like our contribution to the universe. Yeah.
Like I've never done something so more humane than this. Maybe we can talk about like how we are doing as a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. Our emotional and relationship development and shifts. Like during pregnancy, after he came into the world,
I would say our relationship has been like the best. I think, during pregnancy, it was amazing that you started cooking breakfast for me every day because I had very strong food aversion. And then I had like 5 seconds to eat before I would be really hungry for 5 seconds. Other than I would basically die if I don't eat. And you were really good about making me food, making sure that I have food in my stomach to avoid the nausea. So that was really, really great. And then during the birth, I really, really appreciated you for, being my advocate. I was actually just thinking about this. Like, if we were to have hired a birth doula in the room, I don't think they would have advocated as much as you did. Like, you really asked every single medical staff, like, hey, do we have to do this now? Can we delay a little bit? Can we give her some more time for the body to take in the medication? And I think like we advocated that so strongly instead of them, having interventions after interventions. Like that helped a lot. And I think no one else could have done it except for you. Like obviously I couldn't even speak because I was in pain and you really knew what we wanted versus I think the doula would maybe follow a protocol but may not truly know what we want. Maybe we don't know how to express what we want to them. So I think you like did such a fantastic job. And then after the baby was born, I think you taking all the night shifts has been amazing. Like letting me, I would just be responsible for pumping, but you'd be taking care of him if he wakes up and doing all the diaper changes. And you had no sleep and you still kind of survived. I mean, you died, but we're all dying, so it's okay. And then our relationship, I think it's so hard because we're so used to talking for hours at night before we go to bed. And then for the first 4 months, we like barely got a chance to say anything to each other. It was like constantly just trying to survive. Yeah, exactly. And so then I did feel at one point like, oh my gosh, are we ever gonna talk again? I felt like it's different. It's very different. But now that we're at 5 months, we've been getting a lot more time to talk again. So it feels very like a lot more doable. And if I look back, I'm like, oh, it's only 4 months of extreme hardness, and then 1 to 5 we feel better. Like it's not that bad.
Yeah, but when we were going through, we didn't know how long it was gonna last.
Yeah.
And when we were like, you remember this, we were 9 weeks in, and we're like, oh my gosh, like, are we gonna die before we see him grow up?
Yeah, I thought like humans should be extinct by then. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense to me.
We genuinely felt that, right?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, during pregnancy, I felt that. I was like, holy shit, why would anyone grow anyone? Like, this was the worst nausea. It was like the worst food aversion I had. But
yeah,
here we go. We forget it all and we do it again, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it gave me a lot more like opportunities to show you the love that I have for you and for the family, and and show the love for Atlas too.
Yeah. And like, I think this kind of goes back to what I was trying to say, like growing up, people ask you like, hey, would you rather be a guy or a woman? Or guy or woman. And I remember always thinking like, oh, I don't know, like, women have period, but guy have a lot of like responsibilities to be man of household. But after going through this experience, this is like the first time I can for sure say I'd rather be a woman, because the special bond I have with him and being able to grow him, birth him, and sustain him is something that I will forever like be so thankful for. So for all that, like, I feel like, oh my gosh, being a woman is amazing because I get to do all that. And so I don't know, how do you feel?
Yeah, I feel like you're my hero, like genuinely. Every time you feed him, I'm like, I feel more indebted to you.
You owe me your life.
I do. And I feel that way. Again, like watching you go through pregnancy, how hard that was day to day for you. And you were still working, right? Like, I feel like pregnant women shouldn't have to work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then obviously the birth was like insane. It was like 2.5 days of insane levels of pain.
I know, that was crazy.
And I mean, we came out the other side like with him healthy and everything, but we had some scares along the way. And I think all of that has just allowed me to have the perspective to be like so much more grateful for him just being healthy. Like, even if he's crying or whatever or fussing, it's like
it doesn't matter as long as he's healthy. And like, that's why it's like, I want to be able to feed him, and if we overfeed him, it's a better problem. Like, if he's able to take in the calories, please take it, because being on the opposite spectrum is really hard, and there are babies that are diagnosed with failure to thrive, and I am very well aware of that. So every day that he is healthy feels like a blessing to us, and that's all we can really hope for.
Yeah I just feel so much gratitude every time I think about the entire experience.
And like, just also looking at him, seeing like how perfect he is, and like, he's just so precious. And I like didn't expect myself to, like, I don't know, like, I knew I was gonna love him, but I didn't know that this love could be so strong. And funny, because I was telling you that it's not a love that I have for him that's more than the love I have for you. I just think they're different love. Like, one is like a motherly love, one is like a very partnership love. So it's like so different.
Yeah, I was ready to take a back seat. Like, during your pregnancy, I was like, oh, once the baby's born, I'll be, number 2.
Yeah, but you're not, because I need you to change a diaper.
More than that. And the therapy. So you've been seeing a therapist, a postpartum therapist, since month 2, right? So 3 months now, every 2 weeks.
Yeah, like maybe month 2.
She's been incredible for you. I see your mood elevated, for a sustained period of time every time you speak with her.
Yeah.
One of the things that you shared or you realized talking to her was like the confusion that you had with your love for him, for Atlas, going from 0 to 1,000. Like, talk about that.
Yeah. I mean, I think, well, first, like, it's so great to have a postpartum therapist. I think all women should go through it and have that available, if that's available to you at your institution. Luckily, it was at UCSF. They offer this too. Mom's giving birth there. So it's so nice, because who else can tell, especially for first time moms, right? We don't know the emotions that we are going through and the challenges, but to have someone kind of guide you through those emotions has been extraordinary. And I guess what you were saying is, for the longest time, I was really confused about why I'm so overwhelmed by this love I have for Atlas. And I was trying to tell you, I think I kind of figured it out.
Yeah.
I think it's because, you know, like for every other relationship I've had in my life, it took time to build. It took time to build that trust, that love from zero to wherever it's at now. Like even me and you, we met a stranger and then we fell in love, and we all these years, it's the day to day is what builds the love. Versus for Atlas, he just popped out, right? Like the 9 months he was inside my tummy, like I loved him, but I didn't really know, like there's no interaction really, right? And then all of a sudden he's out, and then all of a sudden I love him. Instead of going from 0 to 100 over years or whatever, it was instantly at 100, right? And I didn't know how to process that. I didn't know, like, wow, this thing really, really needs me. I really love him. I was like, how do I love him? Like, and then it grows, and that love just continues to grow. And I think that's why it's so confusing for me, that I couldn't even believe he was here for maybe a couple of months after he's arrived. And then now it's like he's permanent. He is here to stay, and I find ways to love him every day. And like I was saying, and that actually grows and evolves too. It's very, very magical, and it's something that you have to experience to know.
Yeah. I wish I was a woman so that I could feel like what you feel breastfeeding and that like level of love. I mean, I definitely feel the 1,000% love, but I can only imagine for you, it's like a different stratosphere of love.
Yeah.
I mean, you literally made him.
I know.
So
it's crazy.
So crazy. So we almost didn't hire a doula. I mean, you were very hesitant to see a therapist, right? Like, because you're so tight on time, you're pumping all the time,
No,
feeding
like
him
our
all.
time, I'd rather sleep.
Yeah. So how did you make that decision? How do you feel about it now?
I made the decision. I had a couple other friends that were seeing a therapist, and you know, it was helpful for them. And then I thought that it wouldn't hurt. I thought that if this program is provided to me, I can start it. And then if I didn't like it or whatever, I can cancel later on. And then even that first meeting with her, I felt very heard. Like I felt like she was able to really dissect my thoughts for me. And then instead of like saying something really vague, like I would expect from therapists, she actually would say things that I think was more what I would expect to hear from a respected friend. Then she would say it with like, she would give me tips on what to do if things were to happen. She would give me things to respond to, like it just like basically she would kind of warn me about, oh, this could happen if you do this, but then be ready for it. And then I think that really, really helped ease a lot of my anxiety.
Yeah.
And she did a lot of like, I think, cognitive behavioral therapy that I found very helpful. And even just like telling me things like, hey, if this thought is keeping you up at night, then make a decision to not think about it until this certain deadline. And then know that when you wake up at night thinking about it, you told yourself that you made a decision to actively resolve it. And that is by looking at it again, revisiting it at a later date. And that helped me a lot.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Gave you a few nights of good sleep.
Oh, for sure. More than a few nights.
Yeah. The doula. We almost didn't hire a doula. Talk about that process.
Yeah, like we almost didn't hire it because we thought we were a little late in the game. We weren't really considering it until towards the end of our pregnancy. But we talked about it, and we thought it made a lot of sense that we can interview doulas, which thank you for doing all the interviewing, a couple months before my delivery. And if we found someone we like, then at least we are not scrambling to find someone when we're sleep deprived later on, and we'll have like a contact to reach out to. And then if we don't find anyone, we were okay with just kind of handling ourselves, considering that we have family nearby that maybe could provide some support.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad we did it because we found someone we like, and you'll never regret more help, especially in the newborn phase. And I think it just makes it so much more enjoyable the next day. Like, I think one part of parenthood is, surviving, but the second part is being able to enjoy your baby. And it's so precious that when you're sleep deprived, you can't enjoy your baby. You just want to sleep, you just want to lay down, you're just in a brain fog. But then if you just have a little bit more sleep, then it's so much more enjoyable the next day, and you really want to like play with your baby and interact with them. So that was so huge.
Yeah. I think in my recent memory, a doula is the best money we've ever spent.
Yeah, they're expensive, but I think they're really worth it.
Yeah.
If you could, save some money just for that, even just that first month, I think was so
yeah, because it's not something that you have to pay continuously forever.
Right,
it's like
right.
just the first
Right, we felt like we
weeks,
didn't really
right?
need the doula anymore after 8 weeks, 10
Yeah,
weeks.
yeah, maybe 10 weeks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What is one thing that every new parent should prioritize?
I think every new parent should prioritize their own relationship before the baby. I think that is the foundation of your baby's happiness. And, when you're sleep deprived, when you're tired, when you're under a lot of stress, it's really easy. Like, we hear from a lot of friends that they resent their partner or they'll say hurtful things. But I felt like we never had to do any of that because we really understood that in order for us to be good to Atlas, we have to be good to each other. And also really helps that like you were such a great help, and I think you saw me labor and you were very, I guess you felt indebted to me about it or for it. But I think we worked really well as a team.
Yeah. I just felt like we were on the same team. Like, we're just trying to take care of him, make sure he's thriving, make sure he's eating.
Yeah, and like we were very aligned too. I think as long as it doesn't affect his safety, we were okay to try each other's way, and then like we're really, really flexible about it.
Yeah. All right. Well, Atlas is crying. We're at over an hour.
Yeah.
So we'll wrap this up. I would say if we end up publishing this, I don't know if we will, but if we end up publishing this, and if anyone's listening, like, it is a crazy journey. It can be very, very lonely. And yeah, definitely feel free to reach out to us. Yeah, we feel for all the parents out there.
Yeah.
It's a tough journey, and it's hard to be alone. You just can't do it alone.
Yeah,
and
but know that those days are short, and like it's gonna go by, and it's such a wonderful journey. The rewards are tremendous.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's hard. All right, wrapping this up. Thank you all for watching, listening. If you have any questions on like traveling with a newborn,
what gear to
get, what to prep, how to plan, where to go, hiring doulas.
anything.
I mean, just coming up with a birth plan even.
Yeah.
That was incredibly helpful
Shout
for me.
to ChatGPT.
Yeah, ChatGPT helped with that tremendously. Yeah, any and all of those things, feel free to reach out. And yeah, thank you for joining us on this journey.
Yeah.